The way we start the day shapes our journey. It influences the way we deal with challenges and interact with the world around us. Many times we are so used to the rush of everyday life that we don't even realize how our first moments upon waking can impact the rest of the day. One of the greatest teachings of Buddhism is precisely about the importance of taking advantage of the initial moments after awakening, when we can cultivate clear intentions, practice and gratitude, and establish a deeper connection with our inner being. These first moments, as simple as they seem, are precious and have a transforming power. The simple act of waking up and realizing that we are alive is a gift. It may seem trivial, but it is in the stillness of the early mornings that we are invited to awaken consciously to the world around us. Buddhism teaches that this is the time to welcome the new day with serenity, with a quiet mind and a clear intention. So when we wake up, we can sow the seeds of a more balanced, more focused, and more connected journey to what really matters. Each little gesture we realize throughout the morning has the potential to bring major internal changes, and it all starts with a moment of attention. In this video, we will explore techniques based on Buddhist teachings that can help you start the day with more presence, more harmony, and more peace of mind. These are simple but deeply powerful practices that you can easily incorporate into your daily life, transforming your morning and consequently your life. First teaching: wake up with gratitude. Upon waking, one of the greatest gifts we can offer to ourselves is the practice of gratitude. Often, our mind, when opening our eyes, is invaded by a list of tasks, responsibilities, and concerns. However, Buddhist practice teaches us that before we throw ourselves to the challenges of the day, we must devote a moment to recognize the gift of life. Gratitude does not need large gestures. It is born of the perception that the simple fact of being here now is extraordinary. Instead of hurrying to check the notifications of the mobile phone or worry about what comes next, take a break. Breathe deeply. Feel the body waking up, the weight of the blanket and the heat that emanates from you. These small details can turn into powerful sources of gratitude. Thank you for simply being alive, having another opportunity to try the day with your challenges and beauty. Buddhism teaches that when we practice gratitude as soon as we wake up, our hearts opens, our mind calms down, and we are better prepared to deal with what day reserves us. Gratitude is not a simple mental exercise, but a path to inner peace. As we thank, we open the door to a broader view of life, lighter and serene. We do not need great reasons to thank. The simple act of recognizing the gift of the present moment is enough. And as this habit becomes more present, our perspective on the world and about ourselves begins to change. Instead of focusing on everything that is wrong or in the difficulties of the day before, we begin to realize the small blessings around us, those that often go unnoticed. The smell of coffee, the sound of birds, the soft light entering the window. All this, when lived with full attention, becomes a source of gratitude. According to teaching, breathe carefully. Breathing is one of the most powerful and affordable tools we have to anchor ourselves in the present. Conscious breathing, especially as soon as you wake up, has the power to calm your mind and prepare the body for a more balanced and serene day. Instead of rushing or getting lost in the worries of the day, we can devote a few minutes to simply observe our breath. When we wake up, our mind is often full of accelerated thoughts, planning, and anxieties. However, Buddhist practice teaches us that by dedicating a moment to our body and breathing, we can interrupt this mental whirlwind and bring our attention back to the now. Breathe slowly. Feel the air entering and leaving your lungs. Do not worry about the rhythm or what comes next. Just watch each breath calmly and presence. With each inspiration, feel more centered. With each expiration, release accumulated tensions. This simple practice of breathing carefully creates an inner space of tranquility. Buddhism reminds us that breathing is the anchor that connects us to the present, the body, and our true essence. As we practice conscious breathing as soon as we wake up, we start the day with a solid foundation, which prepares us to deal with the challenges with more balance and clarity. Breathing is the first food of life, and by bringing it to our attention, we also feed our mind and our heart. Third teaching: establish a clear intention. When you wake up, before diving your day tasks, set aside a moment to reflect on how you want to live that day. This simple practice of establishing a clear intention is one of the most effective ways to bring more focus and purpose to our journey. Buddhism teaches us that the mind, when without direction, can easily get lost in everyday distractions. However, when we have a definite intention, our energy aligns with this intention, and our actions become more conscious and significant. The intention is not a rigid plan or a goal to be achieved at all costs, but an inner compass that guides us. When you wake up, ask yourself, how do I want to live today? With more compassion, more lightness, more attention. This simple reflection can transform the way you react to situations and how you interact with others. Instead of being dragged by routine or external demands, you choose to act aligned with your deepest values. When we live with a clear intention, everything changes. The words we say become softer, our most conscious gestures, and our most authentic relationships. Even in the midst of challenges or obstacles, a mind-centered mind is able to keep the calm and wisdom necessary to deal with situations more balanced. The intention acts as a light that illuminates the way, allowing us to act more clearly and compassion. Room teaching. Release expectations. As soon as we wake up, many of us already carry a set of expectations about how the day should unfold, how people should act, how plans should occur, how tasks should be completed. However, Buddhism invites us to drop these expectations and allow life to reveal itself as it is, without the need to control all the details. When we cling to a fixed idea of how things should be to be, we create fertile ground for frustration and suffering. Release expectations does not mean giving up having goals or dreams, but accepting the impermanence of life and the uncertainty of events. The mind that releases expectations is like a bamboo that folds the wind but does not break. She does not fight the challenges, but welcomes them with serenity and confidence. By failing to demand perfection, we become more flexible, more open to the surprises and learnings that arise on the way. By waking up with a lighter heart, without the pressure that everything needs to follow a perfect plan, you open yourself to live the day with more acceptance and presence. This practice of releasing control brings freedom. You become more willing to deal with unforeseen events, without being overwhelmed by anxiety or frustration. As soon as you wake up, before you get out of bed and dive into the day's appointments, take a moment to cultivate loving goodness to yourself and others. The practice of goal, as it is known in Buddhism, involves wishing the well-being of all people, starting with ourselves. We are often very critical of ourselves, demanding perfection and being impatient with our failures. But loving goodness teaches us to be kind to us, to recognize our vulnerabilities, and to welcome us with compassion. As you put your hand on your heart, close your eyes for a moment and breathe deeply. Imagine a soft light radiating from your chest, filling your being with warmth and peace. Mentally repeat words of kindness and affection. May I be at peace, may I be healthy, be happy. These votes are not just words, but a sincere recognition that we deserve love and care. When we nourish this internal relationship of kindness, we share this energy with others, creating an atmosphere of compassion around us. The practice of loving goodness is not limited to an abstract desire. It expands to the people around us, starting with those we love deeply. Visualize someone dear. Imagine this person smiling, full of joy and peace, and send them your wishes of happiness. May you be at peace. May you be healthy. May you be happy. This gesture of love and compassion goes beyond words, creating an energy field that involves not only those you love, but also the environment around you. However, the true practice of loving goodness reveals itself when we extend this feeling to people with whom we have difficulties. It may be someone who has hurt us, or with whom we have resentment. This exercise does not mean that we should justify harmful behaviors, but to recognize that other people's suffering is also the root of their difficult attitudes. By wishing the good to these people, we will free ourselves from the arrest of grudge and anger. Goal practice helps us find peace and release our energy from any unnecessary emotional weight. Sixth teaching: enjoy simple things. Modern life often pushes us to the constant search for more achievements, more emotions. However, Buddhism teaches us that true happiness is not in great achievements, but in the small experiences of everyday life. The simple act of being present and enjoying the ordinary can be an immense source of satisfaction and inner peace. As soon as you wake up, when you feel the freshness of the water on your face or the smell of coffee being prepared, Take a break to really realize these moments. We often get lost at the rapid pace of life and forget to taste the little wonders around us. But when we live with presence, each daily gesture becomes an opportunity to connect with life more deeply. Savoring a cup of tea, feeling the wind touching the skin, or even walking to work with full attention are simple gestures, but they can become a real meditation. Buddhism teaches us that by slowing and focusing on little things, we find the true beauty of life. A quiet walk in the morning, a break to watch the sky, the sound of birds, the texture of the water when taking a shower, all this can be a form of meditation, a way to return to the present and honor the now. This practice does not require extraordinary changes or efforts, but only a change of perception. When we allow ourselves to taste the ordinary, life reveals itself in all its fullness. Also, enjoying simple things helps us cultivate gratitude. When we realize the abundance of small wonders around us, we stop seeking something outside of us to feel complete. Buddhism invites us to understand that happiness does not depend on external circumstances, but our ability to be present and grateful for what we have now. Seventh teaching: observe your thoughts. The human mind is naturally restless. As soon as we woke up, a series of thoughts begins to emerge. Reflections on the past, concerns about the future, desires, fears, plans, doubts. However, Buddhism teaches us how to observe these thoughts consciously and quietly, without identifying with them or reacting impulsively. When you wake up, stop for a moment and look at the thoughts that arise. There is no need to analyze or judge them. Just realize them as if it were a distant observer. Imagine your mind as a clear sky and your thoughts as passing clouds. Some clouds can be dark and heavy, some light and soft, but all have something in common: they will pass. This exercise of observing the mind without identifying with thoughts is one of the pillars of Buddhist practice. At first it can be difficult, especially if thoughts are intense or loaded with emotion. However, as we practice, we begin to realize that many of our discomfort come from attachment to thoughts. By learning to observe them without fear or resistance, we can reduce the power they exert upon us. The mind becomes clearer, like a quiet lake, and our feelings of anxiety or frustration decrease. This practice of observation is not a way of repressing thoughts, but of gaining distance from them so that we can respond more wisely rather than impulsively reacting. Over time, the mind becomes more balanced, and the answers to the challenges of the day become more conscious and compassionate. Now that you have started experiencing some of these practices and reflections, how about sharing your experiences with us? It doesn't have to be at all complex, just a small comment on how you are feeling when implementing these changes in your daily life. Interaction is a powerful way to strengthen these habits, and perhaps your experience can inspire someone else to start your journey with more balance and inner peace. And if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to the channel and enable notifications. Thus, you stay on top of all the news and practices that can help turn your daily life simply, lightly, and transformatively. We are together on this journey, and your participation makes all the difference to all of us. At the beginning of each day, a simple smile can have a deep impact on the way you connect with the world. It may seem trivial, but the smile is a powerful tool on the way to cultivate inner peace and serenity. Often upon waking, our mind is full of confused thoughts or worries, and the body may be tense. However, the simple act of smiling with intention can create a significant change in our energy and the way we look at the day. When we wake up, our emotional and mental state is still flowing and is often not easy to get in a state of peace immediately. However, by deciding to smile, even smoothly and lightly, we are sending a positive message to our nervous system. This simple gesture is a way of expressing acceptance and kindness to the present moment. When smiling, you send a message of tranquility to your body and mind, signaling that it is ready for the day with lightness. Intentional smile is not a denial of the challenges we can face, but a recognition that, despite everything, we have the ability to remain at peace. When we smile, our mind tends to slow down, the body relaxes, and our energy changes to a more positive frequency. This smile need not be grand or forced. It can be small but sincere. It may only be the gesture of lifting your lips, but it carries in itself a genuine intention to welcome the day. Buddhism teaches us that smile is not only a physical expression, but also a mental practice. Smiling intentionally is an act of self, love, and acceptance. By smiling for the day, you are saying to yourself, I am here, I am alive, and accept what this day brings me. This practice can expand during the day, becoming a constant reminder to seek peace and tranquility at all times, no matter how challenging they can be. Ninth teaching, walk with full attention. After waking up, the simple act of walking can be a moving meditation. We often do our first steps automatically, without realizing the touch of our feet on the floor, the rhythm of our body, or the sounds around us. However, Buddhism teaches us that we can transform even the most daily gestures, such as walking, in times of full presence. Walking with full attention means putting our attention in the movement of our feet and the environment around us as a way of living the present moment, consciously and gratefully. Each step can be a meditation if we choose to be completely present as we walk. It is not necessary to make major changes in the routine. Just walk slower and pay attention to each movement of the body. Feel your feet touching the floor, the weight of your body moving from one foot to the other, the sensation of the air touching your skin, and the sounds around you. These moments of attention can bring a sense of peace and balance, preparing you for the rest of the day. When walking with full attention, you also connect more deeply with your body. Anxiety and stress tend to decrease as you begin to focus on the feeling of being present. The mind, which is often full of worries, begins to calm down and align with the body. Breathing also harmonizes, bringing a sense of tranquility and balance. Instead of getting lost in thoughts or haste, you choose to live the moment with attention and compassion. Buddhism teaches us that living with full attention in each step, as simple as it may be, connects us with the true meaning of life. Each action, as common as it may be, becomes an opportunity to live more clearly, more wisdom, and more presence. 10th teaching, meditate for a few minutes. As soon as you wake up, meditation can be a way of anchoring your mind and heart before you throw yourself into the tasks of the day. It is not necessary to adopt a rigid posture or try to reach a deep state of meditation early on. The goal of meditation upon waking is simply being present, breathing deeply, and cultivating a sense of inner peace. When you wake up, before you ring your phone or get involved with the obligations of the day, you feel for a few minutes calmly. Close your eyes gently and take your attention to your breath. Breathe deeply. Feel the air entering and leaving the body. Do not worry about controlling thoughts or achieving a specific state of peace. Just observe your breath, allowing thoughts to come and go naturally, like clouds in the sky. This silent space, though brief, has the power to transform your day. Even if you only have 5 minutes, this practice can clean the mind of morning agitation and bring clarity and balance. When you start the day with meditation, you create a moment of connection with yourself, preparing the terrain to deal with what comes with the most serenity and wisdom. Buddhism teaches us that by practicing meditation early in the morning, we are sowing consciousness and presence for the rest of the day. This simple gesture of stopping, breathing, and being present can bring a sense of tranquility that extends to all our actions. Over time, morning meditation becomes a natural practice, a refuge of peace in the midst of daily routine. 11th teaching, alive fully in the present. Life is made of moments, and many times we are so concerned about what is coming or what has been left behind that we forget to live the present. Buddhism teaches us that true peace and happiness are rooted in here and now. When we are present, fully aware of what we are doing, even in the simplest tasks, we find beauty and serenity. By waking up, for example, avoid letting the mind get lost in worries about the future or regrets of the past. Dedicate yourself instead to be completely in the present. If you are drinking a coffee, take it carefully. Feel the scent of coffee, the temperature of the cup, the taste. When walking to the bathroom or prepare your breakfast, do these activities with full presence. Notice every step, every movement, every sensation. Buddhism teaches that when we live in the present, we release the mind from anxiety about future and guilt or repentance over the past. This does not mean that we should stop planning or reflecting on what has happened, but that we should balance these activities with the practice of being at the moment. Now is all we really have, and that's where life happens. True joy comes from realizing the little wonders that are before us in every detail. The practice of full attention teaches us to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, to realize what usually goes unnoticed. As we focus on what we are doing at the present moment, we create room for a deeper state of peace and connection. Life reveals itself more clearly and fully, and the concerns, however urgent they seem, lose part of their power. 10th teaching. Cultivate the wisdom of the clear mind. The state of mental clarity is one of the greatest riches we can cultivate. In Buddhism, the clear mind is seen as a quiet lake, where thoughts are not turbulent but come and go naturally. This clear mind is the opposite of the agitated mind, which is constantly moving, attached to worries, fears, and desires. The practice of full attention, as we have seen, is essential to achieve this mental clarity. Upon waking, book a moment to realize the quality of your mind. Are you full of noise, worries? Or is it calmer, quieter? Mental clarity is not something that arises automatically, but something we cultivate over time through the constant practice of presence and observation. Conscious breathing, meditation, and observation of our own thoughts are powerful tools to calm the mind and achieve this state of clarity. With a clear mind, we are able to make more balanced decisions, to deal with the challenges of everyday life with more wisdom and patience. When the mind is not agitated, we can see situations more objectively, without the interference of distorted thoughts or impulsive reactions. This does not mean that we will never have moments of mental agitation, but that with practice, we learn to return to the state of clarity more easily. 13th teaching. Develop compassion for yourself. Compassion is not only for others, but also to ourselves. Many times we are our worst critics, charging ourselves perfection and being impatient with our flaws. But Buddhism teaches us that in order to be able to offer compassion to each other, we must first learn to be compassionate with ourselves. When you wake up, take a moment to look at yourself with kindness and love. Instead of starting the day with a list of self-criticism or unrealistic expectations, look at compassion. Recognize your imperfections, but also see how much you have already won. Practice of self. Pity helps us deal with our mistakes lighter, without sinking into remorse or shame. Compassion for itself does not mean being indulgent or allowing our failures to go unnoticed. It means recognizing our humanity, understanding that we all have difficult challenges and moments, and that we deserve love and care, even when we are not perfect. When we treat ourselves with compassion, we create a solid foundation to treat others with the same respect and kindness. 10th teaching, practice acceptance. Acceptance is one of the keys to inner peace. In the modern world, we are constantly challenged to control everything around us: time, others, situations. But Buddhism teaches us that true serenity comes from the acceptance of what it is without resistance or struggle. Accepting does not mean conforming passively, but to realize that in many cases there are things outside our control, and that in accepting them, we gain freedom. Upon waking, start the day with the intention of accepting what comes. It does not mean that you will give up your goals or dreams, but that you will break free from the need to control all results. Accept what the day offers, with all your surprises and unforeseen events. When we cling to the idea of how things should be, we create unnecessary suffering. By releasing this expectation and accepting the natural flow of life, we open ourselves to the beauty of the present. Acceptance is not a form of passivity, but a form of wisdom. By accepting what we cannot change, we gain peace and the ability to deal with challenges in a lighter way. Buddhism teaches us that when we accept, we make room for an internal transformation that allows us to live more full and consciously. These practices of acceptance and compassion need not be perfect, but they can make a big difference in your journey. How do you have felt when trying to implement them in your routine? Which of these practices resonated with you? Share your experience in the comments. Your reflection may be exactly what someone needs to start turning their own daily life. 15th teaching. Free yourself from attachment. Attachment is one of the fundamental causes of suffering, according to Buddhist teachings. We often cling to people, things, situations, or even ideas about how life should be. These attachments generate a cycle of desire and dissatisfaction that prevents us from experiencing inner peace. The liberation of attachment does not mean renouncing things or people we love, but developing a healthier relationship with them without relying on them for our happiness. As soon as you wake up, ask yourself, what am I holding back to me from being free? It can be a fixed thought, an expectation about what the day will bring, or even a sense of concern for something that is out of control. Buddhism teaches us that by releasing attachment, we create room for freedom and peace. Release from attachment is a continuous process. It is not something that happens overnight, but a daily exercise of releasing what holds us and prevents us from living fully. When we can release our attachments, we begin to realize that true happiness does not come from what we have or control, but from the ability to live the moment with presence and acceptance. 10th, 6th teaching: connect with nature. The modern world often disconnects us from nature, but Buddhism reminds us of the importance of being in tune with what surrounds us. Nature has the power to restore us, to remind us of simplicity and harmony. Even if you do not live in an environment surrounded by natural landscapes, you can find moments of connection with nature, whether watching a plant in your home or feeling the wind on your face during a walk. When you wake up, take a moment to connect with nature, even in a simple way. Open the window and watch the soft light in the morning, or listen to the sound of birds. Even at the rapid pace of everyday life, these little moments of connection with the natural world can bring a deep feeling of calm and balance. Nature teaches us about the impermanence and flow of life. The trees grow and change, the seasons change, and everything follows their course serenity. When we connect with nature, we are also reminded of our own nature, that we are constantly changing and evolution. This connection helps us to see life in a more open and fluid way, without the rigidity of attachments or expectations. 7th teaching: practice the detachment to judgment. Another important aspect that Buddhism teaches us is detachment to judgment, whether of ourselves or others. We all have natural trends to judge, either out of insecurity, fear, or simply by the way we have been conditioned throughout our lives. But by practicing detachment to judgment, we are freeing space for more acceptance and compassion. As soon as you wake up, note how you are judging yourself. What are the critical thoughts that arise? How can you change these thoughts to something more kind and understanding? Detachment to trial also extends to other people. Instead of labeling or criticizing someone, Buddhism invites us to see others with more empathy and compassion, recognizing humanity and the difficulties that everyone faces. Judgment creates barriers between us and others, but the practice of detachment from judgment allows us to build bridges of understanding and respect. When we stop judging, we begin to see people in a deeper and more authentic way. This change of perspective brings more harmony to our relationships, as well as allowing us to live with more inner freedom. 18th teaching: thank the cycle of the day. The day begins and ends with a series of natural cycles: the cycle of night and day, the cycle of breathing, the cycle of feelings and thoughts. Each of these cycles teaches us something about life and impermanence. At the end of the day, Buddhism invites us to reflect on what we have learned and to thank for all that we live. Before bed, book a moment to make a brief reflection on the day. Ask yourself, what did I live today? What were the moments of joy, challenge, learning? Gratitude at the end of the day helps us end the cycle with peace, accepting everything that happened, whether good or challenging. This is not a critical analysis, but a practice of recognition, of accepting all experience. Closing: the transformation journey. Beginning the day consciously and aligned with the principles of Buddhism can be a true path of transformation. As we apply these practices to our routine, we begin to see the world with other eyes, more attentive, more compassionate, more serene. Each step with presence, every conscious breath, every moment lived carefully brings us closer to the inner peace and wisdom we all seek. Most importantly, remember that these practices are not perfect, nor do they require major changes or efforts. They are small daily gestures, made with intention and presence, which shape our lives in a deep and lasting way. Over time, what once seemed like an effort becomes natural, and the transformation happens from the inside out, without haste, but with much constancy and welcome. Now, when looking at your own day, your own thoughts and practices, ask yourself, how can you bring more presence, gratitude, and compassion to your life from tomorrow? We are all on a constant journey of growth and evolution, and these small practices, when done with intention, can transform our daily experience in a powerful way. If you feel inspired to follow these practices, be sure to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Together we can continue to explore ways of living with more presence, peace and balance, building a journey of self-knowledge and well-being. We are very happy to be part of this transformation by your side. Until the next video, with more tips, practices and teachings to enrich your life.